So hello, this is the second episode of my conversation with Mette Heap, who is the daughter of Kari Killén, and Kari Killén is that theoretics that I am exploring for this summer. I have a summer theme of Kari Killén, and I have gone to the west coast of Jylland to visit Mette. And we had conversation once last time about her and her mother and life and considerations. And this time, and Mette is sitting here next to me. It's not like, but I'm just gonna do a little intro. And this time we are going to focus on, or like I had one theme I like to follow, and that was that Kari Killén seemed to be an artist in splitting. That was kind of my word of this, and I had that picture because I see the trace when I talk to Mette of a splitting strategy that getting into power by making splitting, and maybe also this thing about seeing the vulnerability of this most deep connection between a child and a parent, and the possibilities of taking on power by using the weakness or the softness in that position, and that this theory, that this written books are facilitating a power overtake by splitting. That was my approach of this second interview or conversation, and I wanted to kind of see if I could follow that. I had this idea that we have a young woman that comes into life and that had some strategies in her personal life that she would refine and become a whole theoretical theme that she'd be able to, and she has done what she's done very successfully. If you think of positioning herself, if you think of power, so that was kind of the thread I wanted to follow. And Mette, we have here on the other side, was also kind of wanted to follow a trace of her professional life, what she's seen, what she think of the result of this way of thinking of parents. So we will see if we can navigate these stories and see if we can make this some pattern and some trace, and also just go along with what we seem to discover. So see, we could start with we had like I want to see, you have your face here, so you said to me that you could accept the term of being a master of splitting, or an art, or making splitting into an art form. First, when I said it, you said to me, splitting will never be an art form.
This is true.
And I said, yeah, that if you refine something, it's an art form.
Yeah.
And I guess we kind of, but you also had an emotional saying, like, well, you wouldn't accept that because you found it a very negative thing. And you said to me something yesterday that you'd been in a court case. You had been in court situation with your mom, and
no, not with my mum.
No,
but with her theories.
With her theories,
so she could have been there.
She could have been there, yeah. And you said that I knew what was going to expect. I knew because I knew the way of thinking. I knew all the things that would be followed in this structure of destabilizing, of making person look as wrong in a certain concept. And I said, like, yeah, you know that from your professional experience.
Yes.
And you know that from your personal experience.
Yes.
From your life, because you've seen these strategies lived out throughout your childhood.
Yes, but without calling it an art form.
Yeah, without calling it an art form, we can talk about splitting into a strategy that is.
It works. Because when you split people and they don't speak together and they don't communicate together, and that gives power.
You think you could make that work too if you went on that path?
No, because I'm not that kind of person.
No. But a lot of people, because I can say this, because I've been through this system, you've been through a lot of things also, very similar actually, even though you didn't have the authorities in that sense, but you've been through very similar things. I can say that it feels like that strategy, that would be Kari Killén's strategy, is actually kind of transferred into the people that is working with this, that reads this. They read here that there are certain kind of people with a certain behavior, and if you're able to recognize that behavior, you should go in and intervene and do stuff in their life with their kids, and you have the right to do that because you recognize that pattern. They become, what should I say, evil. Yes. We have some kind of an evil pattern where your compassion or your normal way of thinking, your way of solving problem, well, okay, your child had this and that problem, let's see what we can do, or you have, or something like that. You had some examples of from your perspective of, can you remember you?
Yeah, in 2013, a young mother contacted me. She had just been diagnosed with sclerosis, and she was alone with, I think they'd been 1.5 and 3 years old at the point. She didn't have any family network because her parents were alcoholic, and the father of the kids was in and out of prison because of drugs. And really, she contacted me to help her to have her working skills evaluated. But after a short time, I sort of catch that she had a much bigger problem than that.
Were you supposed to evaluate her working?
No. I was
you were just supposed to
represent her.
Yeah.
And she just didn't get the rest she needed, especially not in the weekends or the holidays, because she had her daughters all the time, so she couldn't rest in the middle of the day.
And she would need a little more rest than normal because she much more rest.
Yes.
More hours. Yeah.
So we contacted the city council to ask for practical help and help with the children, which never happened. After 1.5 years, nothing really had happened apart from a family consultant who came out to her home and criticized her.
Yeah.
And wrote stuff that just was not correct.
You come around and you point the finger at things that are not good, and that the person is perfectly aware of not being good. There's no really reason to point the finger at that.
That's why she asked for help. Because
that's exactly what she asked,
But she didn't get any help, just criticism.
Yeah.
And she got...
I tried that. Yeah. I tried exactly that,
And she got weaker and weaker, of course, because she didn't get her rest, and her sclerosis was developing, and in this process she met a man who lives in a different city council. So she moves in with him after about half a year with her daughters, and the previous city council sent the report we haven't seen to the new city council, and then suddenly things went really fast, and she went into hospital with an attack. And the day after she got home, they were supposed to go to a holiday place for a weekend with 2 family consultants who were sort of supposed to observe her. And that was where I, for the first time, really realized what it means to frustrate parents on purpose. She could hardly walk, and her balance was totally...
That's upsetting. That's upsetting.
And they wanted her to go in the swimming pool with her 2 daughters, which she did. And oddly enough, it's described as she didn't give the girls any notice because she appeared to be more obsessed with her own safety. Why? She tried to protest and said, I can't do this. And they said, well, this is an everyday thing. All parents should be able to do this with their kids. So they did just...
But if she was able to do everything that any parent was supposed to do, she would not be in this. She wouldn't.
Exactly.
They wouldn't. So why would they expect?
So a big report comes out of this weekend where most of it, these days where our protests to this report was about as many pages as the report. Which says a lot about the lies. And this family consultants kept coming and observing in their own home. And one evening she called me and said they asked me to come for a meeting tomorrow. And I said, sorry, I can't because I'm in the other side of the country. 2 different meetings. I asked her, do you want me to move it? No, it's probably just a status thing. I can do this myself. I said, okay, you decide. And on my way home, I had a crying Sophie.
Of course.
And they had found 2 families. So we split the kids.
How rough is that? Although for me, and probably also for you, it's just everyday stories.
Yes, it's everyday
it's
stories.
just, you just... Well, I talk to a lot of people and have a lot of contact, and this is normal, But it's still like when you tell this in this moment and you kind of listen to it and it touches you, right? It's horrible. It's horrible for this woman who has problem, and they put stress on her, and they end up taking her kids and they end up splitting them. It's sad, It's upsetting.
And she has a couple of hours with them every second week, but not together. But the 2 foster families.
To make sure that they will not be able to make a connection and reform as a family.
And the 2 foster families meet once a month, I think, where the girls are together for a couple of hours. And that's it. And then it starts to become interesting because Sophie wants them more and more home. So the one of them is coming home in August for 3.5 to 4 hours every 3rd week. And the other times they have to spend their time together in the family house where they've been so far. And I think, well, if you really want to confuse a child, then this is the way to do it. So where am I going to be with Mum next week? Am I going home?
Exactly. Everything that you didn't want, you want to make a safety environment where they can predict, and it's not that. It's a stressful environment.
So they give them even more insecurity than they had before. And the social worker told the one foster parent that Sophie needs to be more involved in her daughter's life.
Yeah.
Like coming to activities in kindergarten, coming to meetings in school and kindergarten. And the foster mother said, "No, can't. There are no activities."
There are no activities.
There are no
The foster mom said, yeah, so we cannot have you around because there are no activities.
Because we'll lose money.
Yeah.
If this ends with you get it back home.
Can I then draw a line? Because we have what I think here, I want to do this, and then we see that what I've also seen through my history in this, that the idea here is that the social worker puts the blame on her. The advantage of that is that they don't have any responsibility, because actually what a social worker should be doing is to come in and give some support so that this can work out. What we see here is a way of distancing you, saying, well, this is your problem. I'm not going to deal with that. You better fix it. And I'm going to stress you while you're trying to fix it so that we can see how bad you are actually.
Yeah.
And that again, takes the thread back. I see this, like when you tell your story, I see this kind of behavior from Killén. That kind of way of it's not just this theory allows for this, and that is also a personal strategy to make that person have so much trouble that they don't discover the trouble here, or that I have no responsibility.
It's also like in paragraph 54 in Law of Social Service, you have a right as a parent to have a contact person if your child is forcefully removed. Yeah. But if you read that paragraph, the contact person has to work loyally
to
the commune.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you wanted me as that, which I was for a while, until I reached the point where I said, I'll help you, but no way do
that role.
No way do I want to get paid to shut up.
And to make you shut up also, which you actually, to make you accept this circumstance. Right?
So I handed in my resignation. I said, I don't want this anymore. But I'll be there for her. But I'm not going to accept any more crap.
Yeah. Which could have brought you into trouble. There's lawsuits now against people that take up that role, who has knowledge, who knows law. That they kind of lawsuit. There is one lawsuit.
They can bring it on. I don't care.
They bring it on. Yeah. I realized when we sit and talk here that there was one of the subjects that I wanted to do, maybe in the first interview, never mind, that I had not touched upon and that is that this woman seems to be lying a lot. So it's kind of, or what you don't take it as
that could also be a kind of art.
Okay, you take it as that, but it's very blurry. And I discovered that when I first took up, let's see what this Kari Killén is about. That was what it all started about. Let's get into this. I started investigating, and as I wrote in my first blog post, I couldn't really find anything, normally of a person with such a big influence, which is massive. I try to prove that in my last. I think that there is the obvious influence that you can see where the name is written, but if you take and look into the theory and then see how the court system works, how every corner of this work, it's built on this. It's built on this. So the influence is massive, and you would think of a person with such massive influence, there would be a wiki page. There would be somebody who write pro and against and everything. There would be everything, and I couldn't find much. Like what I found was this, you know, what they write on the backside. You know, it's such a few words of the life story. And even I found contradictory ones. You know that the book that we both read is the Bennett book,
Yes.
yeah, where he says, I will quote her for saying that I was working 40 years as some kind of a nurse, a child nurse, and have sorrow contact with it, and at least those two didn't fit together. And I asked you, was she actually a nurse? And you said, well, she was never a nurse. She did. She did.
Well, or if she was a nurse, I never knew.
That's how you think of it, because it's kind of dodgy area. You don't really know what is.
No, but I've read somewhere that she should have been in this field since the start 1960s, and something just doesn't fit, because I was born in 64 and she was studying in England.
Exactly.
And then she maybe or maybe not was on maternity leave. So then we get to 65, and then she was teaching.
Uh-huh.
And then both of my parents were teaching from 72 to 77 in Denmark. So the sort of 17 years went poof.
Uh-huh. And then somehow she managed to move herself into this position.
Yeah.
What was your father is
Was.
Your father was a in this field too. Yeah. He was recognized. He read books.
Not in the child family field,
but in the pedagogy
group field, group methods.
Group method.
Yeah.
He was teaching at the Sociale Højskole.
Yes.
And he's often referenced in Killén.
That's probably the only sensible thing she's ever read.
But she catch on to this. Like, I just see, like, how did she position herself in this? Well, she must be hardworking. She wrote a lot of books.
I wonder who helped her.
So yeah, so you think that your father would help her? Or
they were working side by side for years.
Yeah.
There were papers and books all over.
Yeah.
In the afternoons, evenings, weekends.
Yeah.
So I think his very systematical approach to things helped her.
Yeah. To get. She managed to position herself, and she has her ways. And we talked about she has her ways. It's obvious. It's obvious that she has her ways. Whether these ways are honest and and fair, we doubt that. But she definitely has some strategies there to get her will to position herself in a position of power.
Yeah, but that also becomes scary. She has 7 parenting ability.
Yeah, you wanted to, yeah.
And they use them out there. The social workers use them as a recipe.
Yeah.
When they work with children who may or may not be forcibly removed. And at one point, the social worker told a single dad that you are fulfilling all of her 7 thoughts. So you can rub yourself on the shoulder. This is really well done.
Exactly.
And I sat there wondering. He didn't look at me. He just looked down, because he knew that if we had eye contact, we would just start laughing.
Oh, he also had the clear feeling that he could see that this was...
No, because he knew who my mother was.
But did he know that this was rubbish?
No, well, none of us really knew it was rubbish, but I asked the social worker how many dots should he fail.
Exactly. What is this exam?
if you should do anything, how many dots and which dots? And she just couldn't answer me. And I said, you're using a method or a tool or what we call it, but you have no idea how you're going to use what comes out of it. And in all of the cases where I've met, and there are many social workers who use this, I ask them every time, if he or she fails dot 3, then what?
Herself. You refer to them as a person,
Or dot 3 and 4, or just dot 8. Oh no, 7. Or 1.
What would they say? I've also done that.
That's individually.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, so if you don't like this parent, then 1 dot is we take the kid. And if you like this person, we don't take the kid even if he or she fails 3 dots.
Exactly.
No one has an idea what they're supposed to use those dots for.
No. It's just it's a tool that allows for your, that's how I interpret what you're saying, allows for your individual bias to have a form so that you can describe why why this kid should be taken away from her mom or dad or come back or whatever. Yeah. You can just and that's also a little bit what I say. This facilitates a complete power in this, and of course, because it's related with the law, and that's also one of the things that has happened here. But we talked about me and my girlfriend this morning that this all comes from England. This theory is derived from. It's nothing new. What Kari Killén contributed. It comes from England, but in England it's not implemented as law, which it is somehow here. They kind of go the lawyer that they manage to do that, and the system here is also open for it because it has a tradition of not intervening with what the law system is not the third what is that called, the third power, which as it should be. It has an old tradition of just going with what the king said. You're not interfering, and that we've taken over that, whereas in England they do proper court cases out of this, and that means it cannot just be implemented as a law. I agree, and I think the problem's growing because now she is suggesting that the psychiatric child and youth hospitals should work with the family departments. Exactly, that's what she wants. And I saw a seminar with her where she more or less said that all these diagnoses like ADHD and autism. We wanted that. That wasn't. Even the doctors didn't believe in it anymore. And most of them didn't have a diagnosis at all. It was just bad parenting. Yeah. And if that is going to happen with all these diagnosed children, this is going to become a huge children industry, actually. And again, the advantage of doing it like that is that you can say it is not an autist person that we as a society has to responsibilities of making. It is not. It is a result of you making this and that. Yeah. Therefore, we can blame you. We don't have as a society responsibility, and then we can split you. And then that is supposed to fix the problem, which is unfortunately doesn't. I heard a social worker say when she forcefully removed a child, she said to the foster parents that you'll have, as soon as she's away from her parents, she'll be fine, you'll have no problems. Absolutely, that's how it works, right? And now she's just diagnosed with autism, and the mother wants to learn about autism and wants advice because she, of course, assumes she's going to have her daughter back. And firstly,
the social worker said, no one said you are going to have your daughter back.
No.
And that's against the law, because all
The law.
children who are forcefully removed are removed in order to help the family get back together.
Yeah.
So they should actually help her to
Yeah.
learn about autism so she could spend more quality time with her daughter. And the foster parents are asking for help now because they can't deal with the child.
No, exactly, yeah.
But it's of course the mother's fault.
They are, as I watch the law, I see that they are slowly removing that thing of having to work towards giving the child home.
Yeah, now they can just.
In Norway, they kind of totally removed it, and in Denmark, it is formulated as that they would have to work towards solving the problems that would cause the situation. But not saying specifically. But the human rights says you have to work for that. It's temporary, and you have to work for it to be there. But in our countries, they try to slide it out.
Like I say, Norway has come to Denmark.
Norway, absolutely, yeah.
And we have to stop that.
Yeah. And we will.
This is why we're having this conversation.
Sure. And we are reaching the end.
Yes,
and
actually past the end.
Because I was putting on 2 minutes. So because we were starting the watch, but it's going to be this is the end, and I think that was a little insight into you as a person and your life and your thinking, and meeting a wonderful and interesting person, and that's not the end of the story, neither for me, neither for you, but it was a little insight into this meeting. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.